What's up, everybody? Profitable Stylist, Eddie Ohanian, Bernard Ori, having some fun today again. Wait, what you got there, Bernard? What you playing with?
Oh, I know. This is your favorite stuff there, huh? Oh, my God. I got strands all over me now. Is this gray? Is this white? Is this platinum? Is it gold? Is it brass? I mean, I love the color world. I know you want to talk about color so much more, but I love and hate it. It's like this bittersweet, isn't it? It's like, what color is that? Everybody wants these colors. It is by She Hair, and it's not what we're talking about today. Just a little, I just love a little teaser.
You just love playing with all the hair.
One day we're going to talk about She Hair because I know you love She Hair. Probably more than on stage hair. And Amber, look, let me show you what Amber is doing.
I don't know if I say I love him more, but I do love the She Hair.
We've got some things, these oils that Amber's been selling the heck out of. A couple of new additions to the coloring. She does have some onstage hair on the table, and then some of the For You products that work so well. And then the She coloring that has, oh my God, more colors than any thing out there. But really today I want to talk you got am I like pressing so many triggers?
Man, go for it.
I know. So the real thing I want to talk about today, did you title it like I had asked? Because that's what we really need to talk about. How much hair?
Was I supposed to do something?
We did. Wefts. I mean, everybody's asking, how much should I use? How many wefts should I put in? And I always want to say, how long is your weft? How thick is your weft? Now, we deal with a particular brand, On Stage Extensions, and so these wefts with us are 12 inches wide, and then the length will depend on the length you order, the few different lengths. But for the most part, it's crazy how many companies are pretty consistent on that weft being about 12 inches because it fits around most people's heads, from here to here. I think I have one here. This is 11 inch. These mannequins come a little small, but here I even put 11 inches and it just kind of goes right in the center of the head. Probably the most basic weft placement. These heads, I put a little part on there. These heads are a little on the small side. I did close to a center part, so I put that weft about the same. But truthfully, if you're doing a little left part over the left eye, I don't know if this reverses in the camera or not, then you're going to want that weft to be a certain distance from the part. And then on the other side, I'm going to go a little higher. I don't know if you can see both at the same time. You see, so on this side here, I'm going from, let's see, this side, and I'm traveling up and going a little higher on this side. Because to me, what are you laughing at? Is this not professional? Because to me, it's more about, let's see if I can do this. It's more about how much hair goes over that top weft. And so often people put that weft too low on the side that the hair is parted towards, and so much hair comes over the top. You've got this weight line that needs to be thinned, cut, or they don't, and then it just looks like extensions. I was talking to, God, I want to use the name. If somebody guesses it, I would literally, the largest hair replacement studio in the country for women, the largest women's hair replacement studio in the country. I'm not going to go say their name because I'm going to say something tiny bit controversial. The lead salesperson there tells me on the phone the other day, she said, we don't do extensions here because I've never seen any that look good. Now, she might not have worded exactly like that, so I apologize if I got the words a little off, but that's kind of what I heard. And she might have said something different, but they don't do. Now, most hair replacement studios don't do extensions. And so this sales girl is not a stylist, so she's never had the opportunity to learn and prove any of these people wrong. But in her experience and opinion, they don't do them in her studio. She's seeing all the bad work that's out there and saying, we just haven't seen good extensions, so why would we want to get into that? Me, I got super excited, and I thought, this is a great challenge. Because I've been doing great extensions for a long time. I've taught a lot of people to do great extensions. She's not a hairdresser. She's not following all the hairdresser blogs. There are a lot of bad extensions out there. Sure. No doubt. So Go ahead. I know I've said a lot, and you've got a lot of things you want to add to this.
No, I'm just letting you run with it. I should have made a cup of tea today so I could sit back, get some popcorn, and just watch this show going on over here. Yeah. Now, look, this is the thing. It's awesome to see how much passion you always bring and how much you always have. And I know, like, I get just as passionate as you do about it, too. So I know, like, you're always jumping in and saying, all right, I see you chomping at the bits over here to get in on this. It seems like lately all I've been doing is extension certification classes. I'm like Sundays, Tuesdays, in the morning, at night. I mean, it's insanity. It's absolute insanity. So the thing why we're talking about all of this and what we're bringing all of this about, the consistent question I keep hearing over and over and over, whether it's in a class or whether it's I'm getting phone calls throughout the week. Okay, I got certified. Now I got my client. Now, how many wefts do I need to order to create this look, right? How many pack of strands do I need to order to create this look? And I'm like, okay, well, how much length are you trying to create? As long as possible.
Stop there. You know what I love most about what you're saying right now? You and I was telling your boss, Darren, this the other day. What we've been doing for so many years is we've been dealing with Just She Hair, which was a really high-end brand. It wasn't easy to put in, so we had to promote to do education. We'd meet these people. We'd teach them. They'd be really good. They knew everything, so when they ordered, there were no challenges. But now we've got a much easier technique through the Onstage brand and more selections and more choices. And so we are now bringing in a lot more people who are just getting started with extensions, and we're not used to that.
True.
So they have a lot more questions. They're like brand new, but they were looking at all the people out there in the world that did extensions, and I know She Hair is the slower technique for most people, though the quality of the hair, there's things you can do with it you can't do with anything else. I do love it. But the downside was you heat a bond up, you wait, you roll, or you fold, and some of these other techniques are bam, you pull it through, you squeeze it, it's in. And then the coming out technique is fast. So I think that hairdressers are seeing that and saying, oh my God, like Brad Swift in Texas. He was a super successful hairdresser, salon owner. I meet him at a hair replacement class because he thinks that's his next step. And he says, I'm not doing extensions. That is way too time consuming. Then he sees me in these videos and he says, wait a minute, what are you doing? I said, man, I've been doing this for 30 years, and I am blown away at how fast these onstage extensions are. The strands, the wefts, and the beaded topper. They all just boom, boom. They go on, they come off so quick. It's so crazy. And then people said, so we don't need to charge as much, do we? And that's another one of my big passions right now is people are like, well, it goes in so fast. I feel so bad charging the client so much money.
Dude, oh my God. All right, you know what? We're going to make a video on why are hairdressers allergic to making money. That's going to be another video that we're going to freaking do. Why are you people... I'm going to start cussing. Why... What? We're doing a video about it. I'm going to shut up because oh my God.
Oh, I know. I know. I've had to learn to be a little softer about it too. And God bless the hairdressers that want to help the clients out and not charge them money. I mean, that's great. And I mean, so many of us already go to church, have our ministries, but our job is not necessarily our ministry. There's nothing wrong with making money. I went.
Apparently, in this industry, there is.
Well, I know. I don't get it. Hairdressers, generally, and I'm one of these. So when I say hairdressers, we become such good friends with our clients. We have that relationship with them that when it's time to go up, we feel like, oh, how am I going to tell my friend? Well, as soon as your friend finds a better deal somewhere else, they leave you. So some friend,
then that's really some. All right, so back to the placement, back to the extensions.
So let me mention this real quick. You can make one weft look pretty good on a client. A few things. Let's talk about the few things that have to happen on this one weft. It's got to have not too much hair from the part coming over the top. So one weft generally has to be a little higher than even what I've done here in most cases, or this hair has to be pretty thin. down onto the ends, because one weft, whether it's a single or a double, when it hangs out down here, depending on how much length you're going to use, you've got the thing you're always going to contend with is the thickness of the client's hair, how thick it is, how blunt it is. And so if it are a bit less hairs per square inch, or it's texturized, a lot of point cutting, razoring, thinning, shears, and looks a little thinner down here, or just some good old-fashioned chemical damage, then it could be so thin, or flat iron. You know, they flat iron the hair too much, too often, they burnt off the ends, and then you're going to put one weft in and cut it to the same length as their hair. Well, it will look thicker and longer, even if it isn't. That's first where one weft fits, or finer, thinner hair. But generally, medium to thick hair, I'm going to say go to 2. What do you say?
Yeah, it's a great point. You know, the thing what a lot of people forget is whatever everybody refers to this as, the parietal ridge, the round of the head, okay? Right. You know, that is your guideline. That is the perfect placement positioning for you to follow. And if you take that and you go around the head, look, you got 2 options. Generally, you're either going to come up to the hairline. You can't come all the way to the hairline. You got to leave some hair out so you can cover it up, obviously. But you're going to come up to the front of the head a little bit, and you're going to wrap that around all the way around. That's your one option, right?
Right.
And if you could do that, and if you got enough hair to cover it up like what Bernard's talking about, then you're going to be fine. Okay, if you're trying to get if you're just trying to get some volume, if you're not trying to create too much length, that's going to work just fine. Now, if you're trying to get thickness and length, and that's where the key factor comes in, is if you're trying to create length, and length that is about, like if if it's to their shoulder and you're trying to get
the most difficult one to do, but go
ahead.
Yeah.
You know, if you're trying to add, I would say 4 inches, 5 inches of length, it's going to look like a bad layer. It's going to look like that step or that shelf or that mullet or whatever you want to refer to it as. You need more hair. The answer is you need more hair. So you need that second weft to go in there, like the second mannequin that Bernard was showing. That's where the creative decision during the consultation really comes into play. What is this? What is the end result? Don't worry about how much hair somebody needs. Worry about what you're trying to create. And if you deconstruct it backwards, what is the end goal? And then work your way up to where you need to end up to be over here in the head for placement. I think that'll help a lot better figuring out what needs to be done.
I think you just said the key word, placement. Something Eddie and I were talking about on the phone yesterday was so many clients, the first thing they think, or hairdressers think, is my client has a lot of hair. I need that double density or that thicker weft, or I need to stack them if you're doing hand tied. And not necessarily. I would opt for 2 single density or thinner wefts and spread them out on the head before I would do 1 double thick weft in the middle, because sometimes placement, spreading the hair out, and I referred back to, if any of you guys saw our hair replacement live last week. Was it last week?
Yeah, last week.
Or the week before. Yeah, those doctors, when they take hair out the back of a person's head and put it in the front, those clients look like they have more hair. There's no more hair. They just take hair from here, put it there, and they spread it out. The head looks like it has more hair. That's a good analogy or example of, I mean, we're adding more hair no matter what, but it's not about how much hair you add in that one little spot. It's about where you put it. So placement is more important than thickness, in my opinion, which you brought up and I agreed with.
Yeah, and that's what matters. The second option that you have is don't put the weft up to the front. Start from the back of the ear. There you go. Look, just like the mannequin he's got there. You start from the back of the ear, you go around to the other back of the ear, and then all those little red dots on the sides, those are strands. So you're doing a combination. There is no rule. There is no technical rule that says you are not allowed to use individual strands with the wefts. There is no rule that says you're not allowed to use the topper with weft and strands. Creatively, we are allowed to do whatever we want and whatever it takes to create the completed style for the client's needs and purposes.
Let me show you something here. I'm hoping this comes through, but do you notice on this head, this curve of the hairline, right?
Yeah.
You kind of have one of those, I know.
I got a good one. I'm a good example of a walking mannequin head.
Right. And so the curve there comes into play. And let me show you what when you were saying this is a good example of the place to put hair, I would say in some cases going higher for a reason, because that area that you're talking about that so many people stay with, and I've done it on the weft and the strands, but let me just show you with the weft because this one's a better example. If I were to put hair where, and now this drops down low, just imagine it goes straight around.
Sure.
The hair goes to here. That's as far forward as I can go because I'm trying to stay away from that hairline.
Yeah, you're trying to stay away from that hairline there, yeah.
And so what ends up happening is that hair hangs from here, right? But the client's hair is going to possibly, depending on the part, and let's see, it's parted the other way. So the hair on the front of the head will sometimes hang on a person's head as far as there, but we're only able to put extensions into here because we're only at this level on the head. We got to stay away from this hairline.
Right.
So when you go higher, you're able to go further forward. So this is limiting. When I put hair in on a person's head only to here, and I stay low on the side of the head, I've got that big, I don't know if my hand's strong enough to hold this here. I've got this big open section here with a little bit of hair here and all that bang area. So the only way I'm going to really cover that eye like her real hair does, because this is where the challenge is. So many extensions have that chunk missing. Like you see the client's hair here, it stops right here, and then the extensions are way back here. And the only way you blend extensions with the front, and I made this mistake a lot of times, is to take that hair and go a little higher so I can go
a little closer to that hairline.
It's sticking. Look,
it's sticking to the mannequin, right? All that stubbles. You
right.
know, and the thing is, you got to have a dedicated part to be able to do that, because now what you're talking about is instead of using the hairline, now you're using like the arch of the eyebrow. And if you come up and if you got a good widow's peak going on, the corner of your widow's peak, that's where you would end up. You'd be able to apply in there. You still got enough hair to, well, my hair's short, but I mean, you'd still have enough hair to come over to cover it up. You'd be able to place that in here a lot closer. That's going to drop down through there. That's going to drop down through there. That's how you're going to be able to truly create and fill in the face framing that everybody so desires, but is so commonly cut off. Imagine how many times you see somebody, they've got long hair, and the layering and the framing goes from short to long, and they're always pushing their hair forward. Every time somebody's pushing their hair forward, that's the number one client I want to do a consult with, because adding in a pack of hair on each side of the head, or a row of five, you're creating 10 pieces on the one side. A row of five, you're adding another 10 pieces on the other side, and you're filling that in through there, and you're just filling all of that in, because anytime you see somebody push their hair forward, they are subconsciously feeling naked, and they're trying to compensate for that. I don't want to call it an insecurity, but self-consciousness is really the better word, you know? So that's another great thing of, one weft, cut that in half or cut it into smaller pieces. You got the little tick marks on the back of the weft there, and you can cut them down. You could put one or two pieces in there like that, or like I said, a pack of strands. It's beautiful.
So we're going to end here in a second, but I do want to say, I'm going to save a pro tip. Look, this head's shaved. And this one is even more removed. And I'm going to share how that was done in a minute. You're even going to be blown away. It's really, really cool. But I want to just kind of finish this one up. Like you said, I want to be real. Some people out there are doing hand tied. That's fine. But there are some limitations with the hand tied wefts. You can't do this as easily. See, I took one 12-inch weft, cut it in half, and put two 6-inch wefts on the back for quick application, fullness. You might have to fold hand tied in half. You might have to cut it and then sew the edges because it'll fall apart. But whatever you do, if you put some weft in the back for that quick, you have some limiting styling capabilities when you have wefts on the side. I get that. But generally, a weft is a little less expensive and faster to get hair on the head. And that's why people choose a weft. for speed and for more hair for the money. So when you move in, so the best idea for me is a single density, a double density, and one pack of strands.
That's a great combo.
It's such a good combo. I put the red line for me here is the single density. The blue one is the double. And then I would get, if they're leaning towards thicker hair, I would get the pack of strands in double density. If they're leaning towards thinner hair, I get because then even if you make the mistake and you place them a little too far back or the head's a little larger, then you can put your strands wherever you want in the front. Even if your wefts came up further, you can kind of salt and pepper in those strands on the sides to fix that. Or maybe you need to put a few here or here, but you can use that pack of strands to fix or alter, way more creatively alter your whole picture. Yep. So I just wanted to say a pack of strands and 2 wefts is my go-to most of the time. And then I might go down to 1 weft or some strands or all wefts or all strands. But most of the time, a single, a double, and a pack of strands.
I'll agree.
And the funny thing is that is what I do most of the time. And I've got 12, 15 mannequins with patterns drawn on them. And I don't have that pattern because in my head, I'm like, everybody should know
That's the go-to pattern, right?
Yeah, my go-to pattern. Let me show you some variations. And then Amber tells me the other day, you don't have the pattern that you like the most drawn anywhere. I said, okay, I need to do that. So listen, we had a class recently, and a girl in the class saw my mannequins shaved, and she said, when you're doing things like putting hair on them and you're doing things and that hair is kind of like, it's stuck.
Yeah, it's like a Velcro.
She said, I wish I could take credit for this, but I'm an instructor in a school. And what one of my girls did was she just said, you just use a high volume bleach or a relaxer, put it on there, and just leave it on overnight, and it'll eat.
And it melts it off?
Melted it all. I mean, you see some hair there, but that's down inside there because this thing is so smooth. I mean, we missed, I didn't do it, but like right here, there's a couple of little hairs that they didn't get. And it might even be some synthetic strings mixed in the mix. I don't know that aren't melting.
Okay.
And there's a little bit there, but for the most part,
hey, that's a beautiful thing.
I mean, I'm going to start doing this to do some patterns on because I can draw on there. When I'm drawing on here with a Sharpie, it's like through the hair, trying to get it to get onto the skin. But we might even use this for some of our hair replacement classes. Just relax the top, a bald area, a good pattern for what a man or a woman would thin. And then we've got it's so nice. How can we be doing hair this many years and still be learning stuff? That's what I love about this industry. It never ends.
No, it never ends. You're always learning something. You're always discovering something new. So that's awesome. Everybody, thank you as always for hanging out with us, spending the time. You got a question, hit us up in the comments like we always say, and we'll catch you all next week. Thank you, everybody. Talk to you later.